Today, we're looking at Atramentis Archive ink. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Atramentis Archive ink is a black ink. Before we get to the writing samples, let's take a look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. Now the one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, I dunk it into water for 10 to 15 seconds, and what we see is that this ink will move if it's exposed to water immediately after it's put down. A bunch of that ink went up, but it quickly stops moving, as you see from the pencil line. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I put it into the water, and it does not budge. The water pushes way up, but the ink does not move. This is a very permanent ink and kind of a warning sign for what's to come. Resistance tests are done to see how well it's going to hold up on paper and how hard it is to clean out of your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before I test it. Looking at the highlighter, we see that this does not move at all. After 3 days, this is absolutely perfect in every way. It does not move. If a permanent ink is what you need, this is good. Look at the water. It doesn't budge. The flush, it doesn't budge. Bleach, it doesn't budge. It doesn't move for anything. That might be bad for your pens. It's great if you need a permanent document. It's also good if you're going to do art with this and you want to watercolor over it. I'm just saying, it does very well for that. Just don't put it in your Mont Blanc. Just saying. Now this is a bell curve, or a normal distribution. Of the 365 inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5. Now the range for average goes from 2.1 to 2.9. The Atramentis Archive ink has a viscosity of 2.07. It is just a little more flowy, little more flow than average. It is not a wet ink by any means, but it is a little more wet than the average pen or average ink. Now this bell curve is for average dry time. For the 365 inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with normal being the range from 13 to 21 seconds. The Atramentis Archive ink has an average dry time of 12 seconds. That makes it a little bit faster drying than normal, but that is because it's so permanent. When we see it, it's close to it, but not quite. Not a fast dryer, but definitely faster than average, faster than normal. How do I find my average dry time? I take my writing samples and I average the extra fine and the medium nib done on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. Now let's take a look at the writing sample. I got this ink in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub. I use a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium nib, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's look at Clairefontaine. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. In a 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. It's a black ink. We don't normally get a lot of any of that with black ink. In the extra fine, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. Not bad for what this ink is made for, to last through whatever it is that you need it. You want permanent writing, this is not bad to go with. Medium, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. We look at the scrubby, we see there's no color variation we would expect here. On the smear, I don't know that you get to recover this. Looking at Tomoe River, we have no bleeding, we have ghosting, it's Tomoe River. In the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no shade, no sheen, nothing, black. Extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no shade, no sheen, nothing, 11 seconds to dry. That's because of the paper, not because of the ink. In the medium,
Same things, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 17 seconds to dry. On the scrubbies, we see there's no color variation. It doesn't happen. And on the smear, you don't get to recover this. Now looking at Rhodia paper, no bleeding, no feathering, no bleeding, no ghosting. In the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. None of that's going to go on. 11 seconds to dry. Not horrible. A little bit longer than Clairefontaine. With the medium, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. I feel like I say this just so much. 14 seconds to dry. On the scrubby, we get no color variation. On the smear, you may be able to recover this. That's a maybe with this paper. So I went and I looked at Franklin Christoph paper. I like looking at pen manufacturers' paper and seeing how they perform. Here we have no bleeding, no ghosting. In the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. Franklin Christoph paper tends to be a little bit more absorbent from what I've seen. In the extra fine, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 4 seconds to dry. Really good note-taking paper then. This ink and paper, if you're using this type of notebook for note-taking in school or at meetings, pretty good. Not a lot to worry about there. In medium, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 6 seconds to dry. Still very fast dry time. Looking at the scrubby, we get nothing out of the scrubby. No color variation whatsoever. And in the smear test, if you smear it immediately like I do, you're not going to be able to recover this. Not with this paper. So just watch out for that. While it does dry very fast, you are not going to be able to smear it and recover what you wrote. Now up next is Life paper. Looking at Life paper, we have no bleeding, a little bit of ghosting. It's a dark ink. With the 1.1 stub, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. It's black. Not the blackest of blacks. Not my go-to black, but still a nice black ink. On the extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 7 seconds to dry. So pretty good. We go to the medium. It actually is a little darker of a black. So we get a little shade there. Other than that, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. 10 seconds to dry. The scrubbies show us that there's no color variation you're going to get. You just don't get to have that color variation. And on a smear, you're not going to get to recover this. So what I get from this writing sample, watch out for your smears. While it dries rather quick in comparison to a bunch of inks, immediately you can smear it. That's what I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like the Atramentis Archive ink, I would prefer to find something that would look nice on the page. I couldn't find one that was as permanent with a bright contrast. So I went with a nice red, like Diamine Classic Red. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I'm gonna ask if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, I would invite you to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, what I do is I do my writing samples, I put it into a different pen and use that for a day. I then take my notes with another pen for the video. Today I used the Pier Cardin President with a medium nib. So what do I think of the Atramentis Archive? It's not a go-to black ink for me, but I don't need this kind of permanence all the time. I have other blacks I tend to choose because I don't care about its permanent qualities. However, when I'm doing watercolors and I want to put black lines down, this is a great ink to put down for that. So it definitely has its application. And legal documents, fantastic. So now the big question, would I purchase a bottle of this ink? Yes, I would, but that's because I also enjoy doing watercolors and different things with art, that its permanent qualities are a definite advantage in those situations. Thanks for watching.